My name is Jonathan Holm, branch manager at Leonard's, and today I am sitting here with Josh Pringle, Executive Vice President of CO2Meter.
Good morning, Jonathan. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
No problem. Today we are going to talk about the SAN-10 personal CO2 monitor and why it's important that we wear these when we enter customer locations. So Josh, real quick, can you just give us a basic overview of the device?
Yeah, absolutely, Jonathan. So we are using a non-dispersive infrared sensor. It's taking a measurement every 2 seconds. So we're not going to miss a leak. Non-dispersive infrared means we're measuring the gas with light. So real tiny sensor about the size of your thumbnail. It's in behind this filter that's in the front of the device. You can see it's about the size of an old school pager. It's got a rough, rugged outer coating on it. So it'll endure a drop, but you cannot throw like a barrel of Bell's 2-Hearted or Founders all day on top of this. It's probably not going to survive that. It's going to measure all the way from 0 all the way through 50,000 ppm or 5%. So it's going to give the full range of coverage for all those safety issues. Jonathan, I think you guys are going to set them at 30,000 so everybody can just have one reaction to that sort of absolute safety number. You'll see there's a display that's going to give you the visual representation of the ppm level of the percentage. That's important so you sort of know what you're looking at. There's a couple other things it's going to do if it goes off. So it's got a flasher here on the top so you'll see it visually. It's got a 90 decibel beep so you're going to hear it audibly, or if you're in one of those places where you really can't see it or you can't hear it, it's going to vibrate too. So if you've got it on a safety harness or on your belt, it's gonna notify you. It's also got a super durable, what we call an alligator clip for your belt or harness. And then lastly, I think the other thing that's important to note about this device is it's got a lithium ion battery in it, so it's rechargeable. It's going to get recharged through that port on the bottom. The significant thing about this battery is when we redesigned the device, we've gone out to about 72 or more hours on a battery charge. So if your folks charge it on Sunday afternoon and use it all week, they might have to charge it on Thursday afternoon before their Friday shift. And then, so you're recharging it maybe twice a week. And then the last thing I want to note is it does log all the data, which I think you guys are going to use, correct?
Yes, we're going to use all that data. Yeah, so, we mentioned the 30,000 parts per million. What are the different hazard levels? Can you kind of explain like what happens at 5,000, 15,000, 30,000 and so on?
So we're really not worried about CO2 until we get to 5,000 ppm. That's sort of when OSHA starts really talking about safety rather than other circumstances. But at 5,000, you might have like a little dry eye, a little cotton mouth. You might get that carbonic acid tingle in the back of your throat a little bit. When you get up to maybe 10,000 ppm, which is 1%, every 10,000 ppm is 1%. When we start getting into those percentages, you're going to start to feel maybe a little dizzy, a little lightheaded. As we move up towards 2 or 3%, some people might start to feel like a narrow field of vision. They might feel a little nauseous, like they're going to pass out. But 30,000 ppm, 3% is the real OSHA number. That's when OSHA says you need to evacuate. So I think the intent for Leonard's is to set these at 30,000 so that when they go off, everybody has one reaction. And that reaction should be, I need to leave where I am. If you're in a walk-in cooler or in the back of a restaurant or a nightclub, what you want to do is prop a door open maybe to that walk-in. You want to let the staff know like, hey, we probably need to evacuate. You want to try to maybe turn on some ventilation, open the back door. If you can turn the valve to the tank off, turn the valve to the tank off and go outside. The key is to get fresh air. The only way to really mitigate for CO2 inside is to get fresh air. And the first thing we want to do is keep the Leonard staff and the employees in the places where they're working safe. If that's occurring, if there's a 30,000 ppm alarm, then the next thing someone probably should be doing is considering calling the fire department. Now, I recommend that Leonard's leave that up to the staff of the facility and not on them.
Okay. So you talk about Coolers is an unsafe place. Can you talk about some other places that could be hazardous?
Yeah, absolutely, Jonathan. Walk-in cooler for you guys, draft cooler is absolutely the number one place. It is a confined space. If most people don't understand this, it's designed to trap everything inside. And when they hear the fan running in the walk-in, it's not bringing in fresh air. It's just turning over the cold air and making sure that it stays cold. So if there's a leak in that walk-in, it's going to trap it in there. So walk-in cooler, definitely number one place. Then probably next is the bib rack. All those bib pumps, if they're not vented outside, all those bib pumps can leak inside. If you're in a brew pub, then again, walk-in draft cooler is number one. But then fermentation areas, bright tanks, canning lines, bottling lines. You guys have a significant business in the cannabis world. So anytime you're walking into one of those enrichment rooms, or what they call the grow room, or anytime you're walking into an extraction room, definitely this should be on your person. Don't take any chances. And then bars, nightclubs, arenas, those types of things, they're really going to key in on those bib racks and walk-in coolers. That's 45 seconds on where those spaces are. Your guys are going to be also seeing it at fill sites, or when they're filling cylinders or blowing down tanks on site. So they're going to experience it there too. That's why having that one alarm at 30,000 is so critical. They just have that one alarm and they have to react.
Okay. So basements, coolers, like you mentioned, brew houses, grows, filling stations, even drivers too, right? Filling if that fill box is below grade for some reason, like it's down in a stairwell heading to a basement, that's a very hazardous area.
Yeah, Jonathan, you guys have such a significant business in CO2. Everybody on staff is either working with it, or has worked with it, or will work with it. And this is a safety precaution, but it's not it only enhances using your brain. You have to think about what you're doing. You have to think about where you are. You have to think about what those potential hazards are. I'm not saying you got to sit in your car and study it for 20 minutes, but as you walk into a facility, just be mindful, hey, where's the tank? Where's the bib rack? Where are those lines running? Where's the walk-in? Do I have to go into a basement or a crawl space? And then the other thing is, as you guys pick up more and more accounts from other people, I know Leonard's has a pretty significant coverage in their existing accounts for the fixed wall-mounted safety devices. It's when you're picking up those new accounts, when you're walking into new places that you haven't been before, you don't know where the tank is, you don't know where the lines have been run, or has the fill box been torn out, or the fill line been torn out and I don't know about that. It's those new locations where they probably don't have one of those fixed devices, where this is going to be your number one it's your number two safety tool after your brain, but this is the number one safety device at your disposal. And if people use it and use it wisely, it becomes your first line of defense. It becomes everybody's best friend when they're walking into those accounts.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's at Leonard's, we want to make sure that we are taking the proper steps to keep our employees and our customers safe. And I believe that the CO2 alarm is an essential part in achieving that goal.
What is it that made you guys move from thinking about this to wanting to do it, Jonathan? Was it one thing, or was it a series of events, or what was it?
It's a multiple of things. We've been talking a lot about safety. We started just kind of talking about drivers wearing the proper eye protection gloves, and we started just kind of going through all the safety things. And originally, majority of the employees had one of these, and then we found out they weren't charging, where the battery, older models weren't working correctly, and then it just kind of got forgotten about. Well, it got brought back up at the safety meeting. Now this is one of like we said, this is an essential part of keeping everybody safe, and especially dealing with the inspectors out in the field, fire department. They love when they see our service guys wearing this. That is one of the major reasons why we want to have this device.
Well, that's a huge step. And in closing, I'll say, I know we at CO2Meter appreciate you guys doing this with us. And if your folks have questions in the field, obviously they should go through management to get answers to those questions. But we're here to support you guys every step of the way in this.
All right.